The EU has promised to scale up European solar PV manufacturing capacity to 30 gigawatts by 2030. Europe already manufactures 60 gigawatts of inverters on the continent. But as a technology that makes solar energy usable and with an important role in supporting the grid, Europe must continue its inverter success story. We visited SMA at their factory in Germany to hear more.
Well, let me give you 3 reasons why we at SMA believe that it is really important to have a strong PV manufacturing industry in Europe. The first reason is a purely economic one. The global clean tech value chains are supposed to have a value of around 600 billion euros by 2030. Europe simply cannot afford to miss out on this high value industry. And another reason connected to that is that renewable is a job motor. The inverter manufacturing industry is actually one of the biggest job motors, and we are talking about 35,000 jobs in the inverter industry as it is today. The second reason why we believe it's important to have a strong PV manufacturing industry in Europe is that we have ambitious growth targets and we want to hit them. But at the same time, we must ask ourselves the questions: where do the components that we use to build these ambitious targets actually come from? When we look at components produced in Europe, they must always adhere to very strict ESG criteria and standards, and that is what we want, don't we? And the third reason is especially true for inverters. We have an increasingly decentralized and flexible energy grid, and inverters play a very critical role by providing grid stability, but also grid flexibility into this net. Now, a critical component in an energy grid, you would want that to adhere to the strictest cybersecurity standards, and products that are designed and also manufactured to adhere to European standards are much safer when it comes to data protection and encryption protocols. We have a very viable, a very strong inverter industry in Europe. What we need is a level playing field for our products and our services and our solutions to compete in an international market. In order to achieve a level playing field, we basically need 4 things. We need an amendment to state aid rules so that member states are actually allowed and able to finance and to support production cost. The second thing is that member states need to make good use of the Net Zero Industrial Act by introducing resilience bonuses. The third thing that we are working on right now is an important project of European common interest, an IPCEI, that is tailored to the inverter supply chain, much like the ones that we already have in place for chips, which is also quite handy because the inverter industry and the semiconductor industry are quite closely interlinked as well. The fourth thing that we need is the introduction and the swift introduction of clear European standards like eco-design rules. We are standing just a couple of meters away from our new gigawatt factory, where we will be adding 20 gigawatt of new inverter production capacity next year. Our products are in very high demand globally, so we do look into the future with quite a bit of confidence. There is, however, a viable threat to this confidence and also to the growth path that we are on, because Europe really needs to wake up and defend its technological edge. So my hope for the future is that EU policymakers realize the importance of the solar industry in Europe and act accordingly.
Retaining and growing inverter manufacturing is critical to Europe's resilience and strategic autonomy. SolarPower Europe is working hard to bring forward the right solutions for manufacturers in Europe. Let's make solar EU.